Caleb Moore was 31 when he met Melina. He wasn't looking for love. Most days, love felt like a luxury, something for other people. He had Leah, 5 years old, wild curls, missing her 2 front teeth, and eyes too wise for her age. That was enough. Her mother, Tara, had vanished when Leah was 6 months old. No custody battle, no long goodbye. Just an envelope on the kitchen counter and an empty dresser. Caleb never spoke badly about her. Not to Leah, not to anyone. He simply picked up the pieces, one at a time, and never let go of his daughter's hand again. For years, he built their life slowly, like a man rebuilding after a storm. He worked in residential architecture, designed homes for other families while raising his own alone. Mornings were packed lunches, ballet slippers tied too tight, and Leah asking questions he wasn't always ready for. Evenings were reheated dinners, homework sheets, and the quiet ache of exhaustion. He wasn't lonely. He was busy. That was different. Then Melina walked into his life. She was 24, fresh out of grad school with a degree in marketing and a voice that smiled before her lips moved. They met at a mutual friend's baby shower. Caleb was changing Leah's shoes when Melina knelt down to help. "You've got the gentle hands of a dad who does this often," she said. They talked over lemonade. She laughed easily. Too easily, maybe. There was a shine to her, like someone rehearsed in being liked. Still, it was nice. Caleb hadn't felt seen in a long time. They began texting, then talking, then dinners, the kind with babysitters and napkin-folded menus. Melina listened, or seemed to. She liked to talk about energy and growth, about knowing your worth. She quoted self-help books and always ordered tea with lemon. Leah liked her at first. Melina brought her coloring books and hair clips, knelt down to her level like she'd read a parenting manual the night before. But sometimes Caleb noticed her smile tighten when Leah interrupted a story, or when Leah leaned into him during a movie night and Melina's hand slowly withdrew from his. He told himself it was adjustment. Melina wasn't used to kids. It was a lot, coming into someone's life mid-chapter. He gave her grace. Melina moved in after a year. Caleb wasn't sure if it was too soon, but she said it felt right. She called it a leap of faith. Caleb had taken bigger leaps. At first, things worked. On the surface, the house smelled of her expensive candles, and Leah's lunches had cute notes in them now. But Melina didn't cook, didn't wake up with Leah when she had nightmares. She said she was trying to find her balance. Caleb said nothing. He was used to filling in gaps. He just hoped, maybe, Melina would grow into the role, not as a mother, but as someone who cared. He didn't notice at the time, but Melina wasn't really trying to fit in. She was performing. And Leah, young as she was, could feel it. One night, Caleb found Leah sitting on the staircase, clutching her stuffed rabbit. "What's wrong, Bug?" he asked. She looked up, small voice almost too soft to hear. "Does she have to stay here forever?" Caleb blinked. "Melina?" Leah nodded, then added, "She looks at me like I'm in her way." He smiled, kissed her forehead, and told her it was just new. People needed time. But part of him, deep down, had already started listening. 2 years after their first meeting, Caleb stood beside Melina at a small vineyard just outside Portland. It was a quiet wedding, no grand speeches, no big family drama. Just a few close friends, a soft breeze, and Leah tossing petals down the aisle in a white dress 2 sizes too big. Melina had chosen everything: the flowers, the vows, the playlist. She wanted simplicity, she said. Something elegant but effortless. Caleb went along with it. He wasn't one for fuss anyway. They exchanged rings beneath a wooden arch wrapped in ivy. Melina cried, just enough for the photos. Caleb didn't. He held her hand and whispered a silent promise to try, to really try. At the reception, Melina posted a photo of them on her story with the caption, "New chapter, new energy." #blessed. Leah clung to Caleb's arm that night. She wasn't sure where she belonged in this new arrangement. Caleb noticed, but figured time would smooth it out. For a while, life appeared stable. Melina arranged family photo shoots, added "bonus mom" to her social bios, and offered to design Leah's birthday invites. On paper, she was perfect. But behind closed doors, the seams were visible. She never yelled, never slammed doors. But she rarely listened, either. When Leah asked for help with homework, Melina would nod and say, "Ask your dad, sweetie." When Leah had a fever one night, Melina stayed in bed and told Caleb, "I get anxious around sick kids." Caleb didn't argue. He just moved from one task to the next, like always. He'd been doing this alone for so long. He barely noticed the imbalance anymore. What he did notice was the performance. Melina was always on around others. The neighbor dropped by. She offered lemon water. Friends visited. She bragged about Leah's school projects like she'd helped make them. But with Leah, it was different. Distant. As if Leah were a roommate, not a child growing in the same home. Caleb began seeing it in small things. The way Melina flinched when Leah ran into the room with sticky fingers. The way her voice shifted when she talked about Caleb's old life versus their new one. It was subtle, but undeniable. He brought it up once, gently. "Do you feel like you're connecting with her?" Melina looked up from her phone. "What do you mean?" "With Leah," he said. "Do you feel like you're close?" She sighed, leaned back. "She's not mine, Caleb. I'm trying, but she makes it hard. It's like she wants me to fail." He wanted to say, "She's 5. She just wants to be safe." But he swallowed the thought and nodded. Melina had a gift, a way of turning any doubt into guilt. If he questioned her too much, she'd say things like, "I guess I'm just not enough for you either." Or, "Why is it always my fault?" So Caleb stayed quiet. He told himself to be patient. Told himself Melina was adjusting. Told himself Leah would warm up with time. But something else was growing, quietly, beneath Melina's curated surface. She didn't want to be part of the family. She wanted to be seen as part of one. And for a long time, Caleb pretended not to notice the difference. It started with a low-grade fever. Nothing alarming. Kids get sick, Caleb told himself. He gave Leah soup, wrapped her in a blanket, kissed her forehead. By the third day, the fever hadn't budged. Her eyes looked glassy. She said her bones hurt. By the end of the week, they were in a hospital room, and a doctor with a voice too calm delivered the words that shattered Caleb's world. He didn't remember the name of the condition, some rare blood disorder with a long, impossible name. What he remembered were the words aggressive, immediate treatment, and uncertain prognosis. Time stopped. He moved into Leah's hospital room the next day. The cot was narrow. The smell of antiseptic clung to his skin. His days became a cycle of medication schedules, vital sign monitors, and quiet reassurances whispered to a child far too brave for her age. Melina came the first day. She stood stiff near the window, clutching a cold coffee and asking how long this would last. "I don't know," Caleb said honestly. She visited twice that week. Once with flowers, once with lip gloss and complaints about the parking. She didn't stay long. By the second week, she stopped coming altogether. When Caleb texted, her replies were brief. "Hope she's doing okay. I'm just feeling off lately. I didn't sleep well. Maybe catching something." He tried not to resent it. Told himself grief hits people differently. But a knot had already formed in his chest, the kind that doesn't go away with sleep. While Leah's skin paled and her hair began to fall out, Melina began spending more time at home. Alone. Scrolling. Posting. Posing. Her social feed filled with filtered selfies and vague captions. Some days, you just survive. #healing energy. One night, Caleb left the hospital for a quick shower. He walked into the house, exhausted, wearing the same clothes for the third day in a row. Melina was curled up on the couch in a designer throw blanket. She looked up, coughed lightly, and said, "I think I'm coming down with something." Caleb paused. "Then don't come to the hospital." She blinked. "Wow. So I'm a risk now." "No," he said flatly. "But Leah's immune system can't handle even a common cold." She sat up straight. "So I'm not even family now." He didn't answer. He just walked past her, up the stairs, and shut the door behind him. In the sterile light of the hospital, he found something pure, Leah's quiet strength. Her tiny hand gripping his. Her whispered jokes between nausea and 4 drips. Caleb poured everything he had into her recovery. Melina, meanwhile, withdrew like a curtain closing on a play she no longer wanted to star in. She didn't ask about treatment. Didn't sit through chemo. Didn't once bring Leah a stuffed animal or a single question about how she was really doing. And Caleb? He stopped expecting it. Melina wanted sympathy, not responsibility. She wanted to be the center of concern. And for the first time, Caleb realized she wasn't grieving with them. She was grieving something else entirely. Her loss of the spotlight. Leah's second round of chemo hit harder than the first. Her appetite vanished. Her skin turned pale as paper. Some nights, she was too weak to sit up. Caleb stayed by her side, learning every beep of the machines, every line on her charts. He barely slept, but he didn't complain. He didn't have time to. Meanwhile, back at home, Melina had begun crafting a crisis of her own. It started with a sigh, loud, deliberate. Over the phone one night, while Caleb sat in the hospital cafeteria with a cold sandwich. "I don't know," she said. "My chest's been tight lately. Could be stress. Or maybe something worse." Caleb rubbed his eyes. "You should go get checked out." "I already booked a scan," she replied. "Tuesday. Just thought you should know." He hung up and stared at the vending machine, wondering how he was supposed to be in two places at once. On Tuesday, he left Leah with her favorite nurse and rushed across town to meet Melina at the imaging center. She wore oversized sunglasses and a hoodie, as if she were hiding from paparazzi. The scan came back clear. Not a trace of anything. Melina sipped her iced coffee like nothing had happened. "The body holds trauma in strange ways," she said, like she'd just quoted a podcast. Caleb nodded, but inside, something cracked. Leah was hooked up to IVs, fighting for her life. And Melina was using fake symptoms to draw him back into her orbit. Then came the Facebook post. A black and white selfie, chin resting on her hand, eyes slightly red. The kind of photo designed to trigger concern. "Some days, the pain is invisible. I'm doing my best. Please don't ask questions." The comments flooded in. "You're so strong. Sending prayers. We're here for you, Melina." Not a word about Leah. Not a single mention of the girl in a hospital gown, actually enduring pain. Caleb read the post in silence, then turned his phone face down on the hospital tray. He didn't ask. He didn't accuse. He already knew. Melina wasn't trying to escape grief. She was trying to compete with it. In her world, love had a spotlight. And if it wasn't shining on her, she'd create her own tragedy. One evening, a cheerful nurse walked into Leah's room, singing softly as she arranged the medication cart. "Hello, sunshine," she said, smiling at Leah. Melina, sitting in the corner scrolling her phone, muttered under her breath, "Guess I don't exist anymore." Caleb turned. Her tone wasn't sad. It wasn't scared. It was bitter, jealous. That moment stuck with him more than any test result or prognosis. Melina didn't see Leah as a child in pain. She saw her as competition. The hospital room became a second home, one Caleb never wanted, but settled into like an old coat. He learned the rhythms, morning blood draws, evening vitals, which nurses liked jokes, which ones moved quietly during the night. But what stood out most was who wasn't there. Melina had stopped coming. At first, she sent texts. "I just need a mental reset. Hospitals make me dizzy. I don't want Leah to see me cry." Caleb didn't argue. He was too tired. Too focused. But her absence grew louder with every day. Friends began to ask, "How's Melina holding up?" He'd smile, say, "She's taking care of things at home." But even that wasn't true. The fridge was empty. Leah's drawings, once pinned to the hallway wall, had been taken down and replaced with framed quotes. "Protect your peace. You can't pour from an empty cup." Melina wasn't pouring into anything. She was performing. Her social media bloomed with soft-filtered sadness. Vague captions, cropped images, long posts about navigating invisible battles with zero context. Not once did she mention Leah by name. Not once did she ask how the treatments were going. One night, Caleb returned home for a quick shower. The house was spotless, almost staged. Candles burning, jazz humming from the speakers. He found Melina in the living room, curled up in a blanket, staring into her phone like it held secrets from another life. "You didn't answer my last message," he said. She didn't look up. "I've been overwhelmed. I'm barely sleeping. Leah hasn't slept more than 2 hours in 3 nights." Silence. She finally glanced at him. "You think I'm not hurting too?" He didn't reply. He just walked to the sink, washed his hands, and left again. That was when the cracks in the mirror began to show, not on her face, but in her image. She wasn't breaking under grief. She was unraveling from irrelevance. Caleb began to see the pattern. The sighs when she wasn't the center of conversation. The passive-aggressive texts when he missed her call. The carefully timed check-ins. Always when she needed something, never when Leah did. And Leah noticed, too. One evening, as he adjusted her blankets after a long round of chemo, Leah whispered, "Did I do something wrong?" Caleb looked up. "What?" "No, baby, why?" She hesitated, then said, "Melina doesn't smile at me anymore." He didn't answer. He couldn't, because deep down he knew. Melina didn't disappear from the hospital because she was grieving. She disappeared because she was no longer the main character. It was a Tuesday night. Leah had finally fallen asleep after a difficult treatment day. Caleb sat in the hospital room's low armchair, his back aching, eyes burning from hours of screen time and fluorescent lighting. The television played a cartoon quietly in the background, just to fill the silence. His phone buzzed, a Facebook message request. From Claire Harmon. Subject, "Hi. I think we need to talk." Caleb hesitated. He didn't know the name. Another buzz. A follow-up. "I'm sorry to message you like this. I'm not trying to stir drama, but I think your wife is seeing my boyfriend." His stomach dropped. He read the sentence 3 times, then sat up straighter, pulse racing. "His name is Jonah. Jonah Lee. She told me they used to work together. I wasn't sure until I saw the messages. There are a lot." The name hit him like a dull hammer. Jonah. Melina had mentioned him months ago, just once. A former co-worker in digital PR. Kind of annoying, she'd said. Always wore loud shirts. Nothing more. Until now. I found screenshots. Hotel receipts. Voice notes. Pictures. I didn't want to believe it. But it's all there. Caleb stared at the screen. His hands had gone cold. "If you want me to send them to you, I will. But I don't want to make things worse if you already know." He replied with a single sentence. "Please send everything." Minutes later, an email arrived, a zip file titled simply, "I'm sorry." Caleb opened it slowly, as if each click weighed 50 pounds. Inside were dozens of screenshots. Texts between Melina and Jonah, some flirty, some explicit, others emotional, theatrical, dripping with self-importance. One message made him freeze. He's barely a husband anymore. He lives at that hospital like it's his new home. "Jonah, with you, I feel alive." Another one. "I love that you choose me. No one else ever really has." There were selfies of her in hotel rooms. Time-stamped voice notes. One where she whispered, "You make me feel like a woman again." And then the worst of it. A hotel receipt from the exact weekend Melina told Caleb she was emotionally drained and couldn't come to Leah's oncology follow-up. She hadn't been resting. She'd been cheating. Caleb stared at the screen for a long time. Not in shock, but in silence. It wasn't the betrayal that broke him. It was the clarity. While Leah had fought for her life, Melina had been fighting for attention in someone else's arms. The performance, the size, the fake symptoms, it had all been cover. Caleb didn't cry. He didn't yell. He just sat there, watching the truth unfold on the screen like a documentary about a person he used to know. And for the first time since this all began, he felt something new. Not sadness, not anger, just resolve. Melina was still humming. Walking through the house in soft slippers, coffee mug in hand, texting with her back to the room like a teenager in a high school hallway. She had no idea. And Caleb? He gave her exactly what she wanted. Nothing. No reaction. No confrontation. Just the same quiet man she thought was too distracted to notice the cracks beneath her smile. But inside, something had shifted. Caleb had always believed in confronting problems with honesty. But this wasn't a problem, it was a betrayal. And betrayal didn't deserve a conversation. It deserved consequences. So he got to work. First, he called Evan, an old friend from college who'd been through a brutal divorce 3 years ago. Evan didn't ask questions. He just gave names. 3 lawyers. Discreet, ruthless, efficient. Caleb scheduled consultations. Used personal days at work. Said nothing to Melina. Each meeting confirmed what he hoped. The house was his. He'd bought it before the marriage. The accounts were separate. There were no children between them. No legal claim. "You've got leverage," one attorney said, flipping through a printed email thread. She cheated. You documented. You're calm. That's everything. Back home, Caleb played the part. He kissed Leah's forehead, read to her from the hospital chair, took notes on her meds like a nurse in training. And in between, he gathered receipts, screenshots, bank statements. He backed up every text from Melina, printed hotel bookings, tracked dates, compared them to Leah's treatment calendar, highlighting every moment Melina disappeared for a mental break that was really a weekend away with Jonah. He checked the joint account. She'd used his card to book hotel rooms. The irony wasn't lost on him. He also pulled his credit reports, verified that every major expense, groceries, bills, even Melina's streaming subscriptions, were in his name, not hers. Then he changed his passwords, cloud storage, email, banking, even the shared Spotify account. He locked her out digitally before he ever served her on paper. She didn't notice, because she thought he was broken. She thought she'd won, and that was her mistake. Melina believed deception was power, the thrill of being one step ahead. But Caleb wasn't playing to hurt her. He was preparing to remove her. For good. It was a quiet Saturday morning. Early spring. The windows were open, and the breeze carried the soft rustle of leaves. Leah was spending the weekend with Caleb's sister. The house, for once, was still. Melina was in the kitchen, dressed in matching loungewear, stirring oat milk into her coffee like it was just another curated moment in her aesthetic life. Caleb sat at the dining table, a simple brown folder in front of him. His hands were steady, his eyes calm. "Can you sit down for a minute?" he asked. She turned, mug in hand, raised an eyebrow. "What's up?" "Just some things I need you to look over." She walked over, casual, almost smug, as if she expected a budgeting spreadsheet or a vacation idea. Then she saw the papers. Her smile faded. At the top, dissolution of marriage. "What is this?" she asked, her voice suddenly thin. "Divorce," Caleb said. "The paperwork's done. You just need to read and sign." She blinked. Twice. Her fingers gripped the edge of the folder, but didn't open it. "Wait, what? Are you serious?" Caleb reached into the folder again and laid out the second stack. Printed screenshots, hotel receipts, phone logs, a copy of the joint account transactions, even a small printed map, her GPS history, overlapped with Jonah's office and the hotels. "I've known for a while," he said simply. "I didn't say anything because I wanted to do it the right way. Quiet. Legal." She stared at the evidence. No defense, just panic flickering behind her eyes. "You went through my phone?" she said sharply. "No," Caleb replied. "Claire did. Jonah's girlfriend. She sent me everything. I just verified it." She opened her mouth, then closed it again. The color in her face drained. "You're actually doing this." "You already did it," he said. "This is just paperwork." For a moment, she stood still, no words, no movement. Then, finally, she found her voice. "Now you know how it feels," she said quietly. Caleb looked at her. "No," he said, shaking his head. "I don't. I never lied. I never cheated. I never faked illness while my daughter fought for her life. I never used pain for attention." Melina folded her arms, her voice rising. "You ignored me for months." "There's a difference," Caleb said, unmoved, "between being ignored and not being the center of attention." She scoffed. "I was hurting." "No," he said. "You were bored." Silence filled the room. She paced now, like a caged animal, circling herself. "So that's it. You're just walking away." "I've already walked," he said calmly. "This is just the part where you find out." Her jaw tensed. Her voice dropped to a whimper. "I just wanted to feel chosen." Caleb paused, let the words hang in the air. Then he said, "Then you should have chosen better." She tried again. The tears, the glassy eyes, the lip trembling like an actress waiting for her cue. He didn't flinch. Instead, he opened a second folder, documents from his lawyer, bank statements, property deeds, credit logs, all in his name. "Here's what's going to happen," he said, voice even. "You're going to sign the separation paperwork. You'll be contacted through legal channels. You don't speak to me directly, and you don't post anything online. You're trying to erase me. You did that yourself. I'm just finalizing it. You can't kick me out," she snapped. "I can, and I will. House is mine. You never paid into it. We have no kids together. No joint assets. No leverage. She sat down, suddenly quiet, like the weight of it all had finally settled in. I don't have anywhere to go, she muttered. Caleb stood up, collected the folders, and looked her in the eye. You have until Sunday night to get your things. After that, my lawyer takes over. She didn't follow him to the door, didn't beg, because for the first time, she realized he was done talking, and he meant it. 1 week after the divorce papers were served, Caleb's phone buzzed with a notification, a Facebook tag. He almost ignored it, but then he saw the name. Claire Harmon. She had posted a thread. Long, detailed, ruthless. The first photo was a screenshot of Melina's Instagram bio. Empath. Survivor. Bonus mom. Light chaser. Underneath it, Claire wrote, "This is Melina Rose. She's been sleeping with my boyfriend while pretending to be a grieving stepmother. Here's the truth." What followed was a digital landslide. Dozens of screenshots. Text messages from Jonah. Selfies from hotel rooms. Booking confirmations using Caleb's credit card. Voice notes of Melina whispering lines like, "We just understand each other in ways no one else does." Claire didn't hold back. She posted timelines, dates of Leah's hospital stays matched against Melina's self-care weekends. Receipts. Emails. Photographic proof. She even included one of Melina's posts, a teary-eyed selfie captioned, "Just trying to stay strong through this storm," and added, "Meanwhile, she was at a spa with my boyfriend the same weekend she posted this." By noon, the post had gone viral. Over 300 shares. Hundreds of comments. Former friends, college acquaintances, even strangers chiming in. Is this the same Melina who used to post those fake therapy quotes? She always seemed a little too perfect. I knew something was off. Her follower count began to drop. Quietly at first, then in chunks. People who once commented, "So proud of your strength, Purple Heart," now posted, "Shameful." Unfollowed. This is beyond toxic. Even Melina's backup account, one she used to test captions, was found and mocked in the comments. The final blow came 2 days later. Caleb missed the call but saw the voicemail. It was from Melina's mother. He listened with headphones, standing in Leah's now sunlit bedroom. Her voice trembled. "I'm so sorry, Caleb. I had no idea. This isn't the daughter I raised. I won't make excuses. I just hope Leah's okay." She didn't ask Caleb to reconsider. She didn't try to defend Melina. She just apologized. That meant more to him than anything Melina had ever said. As the days passed, Melina tried damage control. Posted vague apologies. "I've made mistakes. I'm processing pain. Please respect my journey." But no one bought it. The comments were turned off. The likes disappeared. Even her so-called ride-or-die girls? Silent. The mask had cracked, and what leaked out wasn't sadness. It was strategy, and the audience was done clapping. Caleb never commented, never shared. He just watched, silently, peacefully, as the persona Melina worked so hard to build collapsed under the weight of its own performance. He didn't need to destroy her. She did that herself. Spring turned to summer, and the hospital visits became less frequent. Leah's hair began to grow back, soft, feathery curls that bounced when she laughed. She started sleeping through the night again, started painting again. She had developed a strange obsession with plants, lining the windowsills with tiny succulents and jars filled with avocado pits suspended over water. Caleb didn't question it. If she wanted to turn the living room into a greenhouse, so be it. If that's what healing looked like, he'd help her water it. He went back to work gradually, took smaller projects, spent mornings packing lunches and evenings learning which Netflix shows didn't make Leah cry. There was laughter in the house again. Real laughter, the kind that echoes in your ribs and reminds you you're alive. And Melina? She tried to come back. It started with a text. "Can we talk? Just one coffee, please." Caleb didn't reply. Then another. "I'm sorry. I didn't know what I was doing. I miss both of you." Still nothing. She left a voicemail, her voice fragile, rehearsed. "I don't have anywhere to go. Jonah's gone. I've been crashing on a friend's couch. I'm tired, Caleb. I don't know what to do." But Caleb did. He forwarded the message to his attorney, archived it, and went back to making dinner. The truth was, she wasn't trying to rebuild. She was trying to rewind. She wanted back into a life she had burned to the ground, hoping he'd forgotten the smoke. She wanted comfort, not accountability. And he wasn't offering either. A week later, word got around that Melina had moved in with her aunt. One bedroom, no guest bath, no filtered light for Instagram, no curated corners to showcase her healing journey. Jonah had vanished, too, probably ran the minute the spotlight turned hot. Claire, it turned out, had forwarded the affair details to Jonah's company. He was fired. Quietly. No apology posts. Just gone. Caleb watched none of it unfold. He stayed off social media. Let the world burn without him. He didn't need fire. He had peace. People asked him if it felt like revenge. It didn't. Revenge requires effort, strategy, energy. Caleb hadn't lifted a finger. He had simply stood still long enough for the truth to reveal itself. And when it did, it wasn't loud. It was quiet. Final. Melina didn't lose because he punished her. She lost because she bet everything on being forgiven before she was ever honest. She lost her stage. He gained his freedom. And in the end, that was enough. Because while she looked for an audience, Caleb had built a home. Enjoyed the story? Give it a like and let us know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe. More powerful stories are just around the corner.